This episode of Pomcast is sponsored by Yak. Yak is the hub of the knitting and crocheting community in Brighton in the UK. Run by a team of passionate makers, Yak strives to provide their customers with the highest quality tools and yarns.
They champion independent companies from the UK and abroad, chosen responsibly for their unique and luxurious qualities. Whether you're after an eye-catching hand-dyed yarn, I often am, a traditional Shetland wool, or a stylish Scandi thread, they have something for everyone.
The Yak team values transparency, and they know that their customers do too. Wherever possible, their website includes extra bits of information on yarn, such as the provenance of the fibres, the locations of the manufacture, how the yarn is spun, and whether it has been superwash treated or not. All very helpful. And all of this will help you make informed decisions based on what is important to you.
That's so important if you're shopping online, just to have that little detail, and they're knitters, so they know what you want to know. If you live in the East Sussex area or happen to be visiting Brighton, you can also check out their knitting and crochet workshops. They have classes suitable for all levels, designed to inspire seasoned and new knitters alike.
So our friends at Yak are offering 10% off for Pomcast listeners. That's you! Until the 16th of December. Just visit their website, yarnandknitting.com, and enter the code YAKPOMCAST. That's YAKPOMCAST at checkout. Gift cards, sale items, and classes are not included, but everything else is. So thank you, Yak.
Thanks, Yak. And if you didn't get it already, Yak is a very clever acronym of yarn and knitting, so an easy one to remember there when you're heading to the website. Hello! Hi, and welcome to Pomcast, the podcast brought to you by Pom Quarterly. I'm Sophie Heathscott, and joined, as I am now, twice a month with...
Lydia Gluck. Hello! Nice to see you, Soph.
Hi.
/hear you.
Yes, we can see each other, but people can hear us.
Yeah.
That is the magic of technology.
Indeed. And how are you?
I'm good. I am feeling very inspired by the chat we had with Joji and Veera.
Yeah, same. It's always such a joy to have really any kind of interaction with them. But it was particularly nice to get to speak to them at more length, and also we could see them. The listeners will not be able to see them, but they can imagine the joyful faces.
Indeed. So, as you probably guessed, this episode is an interview episode with Joji Locatelli and Veera Välimäki, the designers behind the interpretation series. And here we are celebrating the dawning of Volume 8.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, isn't it, when they were talking about the fact that they've been creating interpretations for, did they say 10 years?
Yeah.
Now must be just about. It's similar age to Pom Pom.
It is. We're so proud to publish Interpretations. If you haven't heard of it before, this is a collaborative designing project, which is, I don't know, I think it's quite unique in its format.
Yeah, so for each volume, Joji and Veera choose 6 words, and they then create designs based on those words. And they also have kind of written blurbs that go along with the words. And you'll hear more about this in the interview, about how they kind of use those words as a kind of jumping off point. And it's interesting because the words, then turn into something very visual. But it seems like they don't necessarily always go from very specifically visual references, although, of course, the words are evocative of things for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you get these 6 words for their collection, and they each interpret these. And so there's 12 patterns altogether, and you get a little insight to their styles and process of designers as they each interpret, again, that key word, these these words. Would you be interested in knowing which ones they've chosen for this collection, Lydia?
I would.
They have chosen challenge, patience, anticipation. I should have paused for that one. Challenge, patience, and anticipation. Oh, and the next word is pace. This is just like setting itself up for a joke here.
It really is.
Do you know the secret of comedy?
Challenge, patience, anticipation, and pace.
It's timing.
Damn.
And the other words are compassion and emphasis. So really, we've already had a real blast just reading those out. So imagine what it's like to design from these starting points.
Indeed, and imagine the incredible designs themselves.
Indeed. So you are probably all dying to see this collection, and this works a little bit differently to the way the Quarter magazine does. We have teaser images, if you will, sneak peeks on the website and on our social media, and pre-order is now live on the Pom Pom website. But the patterns will be revealed in full on the 7th of December, and we can't wait to share that all with you.
Of course, that also is a good festive time to be looking at festive gift, possibly for yourself, or maybe for a knitter in your life who you want to give a really cool book to. Already, we have on the Pom Pom website our offerings for your festive season.
The festive offerings, so you can find. Oh, again, this is if you are into the gifting season, then take this as a gifting season recommendation. If the gifting season is within your heart always for yourself, then please welcome that as well. We have subscriptions and a really fun reverse subscription. So if you missed out on the classic offerings of Pom Pom this year, you can put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it with a reverse sub.
Yes, exactly, which means that you can buy, like Sophie said, the past 4 issues from last year,
Yeah.
from this year.
What is
I'm getting
time?
confused.
What is time anyway?
Well, the website will make this much clearer than we can possibly, so it's definitely worth going to have a browse. But there are indeed other bundles, I believe. So
yes, if you like your books, we have interpretations bundles. That's the new upcoming volume 8, as we are talking about right now, with volume 7. There's a Shetland Trader bundle. You'll know about Shetland Trader from the Bab interview we had with Gudrun recently. But if you're more of a beginner, we have a beginner bundle. Maybe there's a person in your life you need to introduce a little more to the world of knitting, and that includes Knit How, our Learn to Knit book, and Ready Set Raglan, which is our building blocks of making raglan jumpers.
And if you have someone that you would like to gift a Pom Pom related present, but you're not entirely sure which Pom Pom publications they have in their special Pom Pom bookshelf, then you can always get a gift card, and then you allow them to choose which designs they would like to partake in.
And that's a digital gift card, so you don't even have to worry about stuff arriving on time. You could do that last minute. I'm not encouraging you to, but hey, sometimes that situation happens and you've just got to.
We've all been there.
Got to ping a little email through, and that option is there for you as well. Well, there's some nice things to think about if that's the sort of stuff you're thinking about right now. You can find them online, or we'll have a link in the show notes. But I think it's time, without further ado, to dial into the interview hotline.
The knit line.
Yeah, the knit line. And have a nice chat with Joji and Veera. Welcome to Joji and Veera. We've got a quartet of voices on the podcast again. What a treat. Hi to Joji.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Thanks, Sophie.
And hi to Veera.
Hello. So good to be here.
I always think it's important that we figure out whose voice is whose, because I don't think some people still don't know which one's Sophie and which one's Lydia. So
yeah, we like to keep that a mystery, keep everyone guessing.
We're interchangeable, so you know. And you're both joining us. We've got a real cross-world recording.
Global, if you will.
And we thought it would be fun because we know you guys, you know each other very well. We wanted to ask you to introduce each other to start this podcast. Yeah, I don't know. Joji, would you like to go first and maybe introduce Veera for us and the listeners?
Yes, I would love to introduce you to my best friend. Her name is Veera, and she is a knitter and a pattern designer who lives in Finland. Veera lives outside of Helsinki in a beautiful house in the woods, and she's been designing for well over 10 years now. She has published her own books. We have published books together. She has beautiful patterns that you can find on Ravelry, and her favorite thing to work on are stripes. How did I do?
Very well.
Yeah. It's all true, yeah. And we love to, Veera, tell us about your friend Hohi.
Oh yes, so here we also have Hohi, my sister from the other side of the world almost. Hohi lives in Argentina, in the capital, in Buenos Aires. And she also has a lovely, lovely house, but that's so different from mine because it's in the city. It's tiny. It's so lovely. Hohi lives with her husband and 2 boys, now teenagers. And Hohi has also been designing more than 10 years now. And you can find her on Ravelry. And she has a lovely podcast on YouTube as well. So go check that out. I love about Hohi's designs because they are always so well thought through and you always learn something. And I think Hohi likes a challenge, and most of her designs also have that challenge for her and for us knitters.
Thanks.
Oh, those were such lovely introductions. It's so clear how good your working relationship is. And it's so lovely that we get to publish your collaborations.
Thank you.
But so on the kind of topic of working together, and as we've said, you live quite far away from each other, and you've been working together for a very long time, publishing interpretations. So you're used to the challenges now of working long distance. But how did you find the process for this volume, for volume 8?
Yeah, so volume 8 sort of came as second part of what happened with volume 7. For volume 7, we were not still going through a pandemic, so we were still working with our usual rhythm. So we were hoping to get together and put everything together in the end for the photo shoot. And in the midst of that, the pandemic came, and we had to figure out a way to shoot the books being apart. And I think that when we started volume 8, we were kind of optimistic, and we thought perhaps we can meet, perhaps we can travel, but let's just not hold our expectations too high. Let's work just thinking that we may not. So we decided to get together more regularly. So we had made a commitment to meet each other every week. So we would catch up and show each other the progress. We would show each other our works in progress, and if we had to frog something or redo a part of the design, we could share our frustration. So somehow I think that Veera and I both agree that somehow working on these 2 volumes, knowing that we could not meet, made us work more closely to each other, because we would regularly meet and update each other. And so it's one of the positive things that the pandemic brought, more like a more continuous communication between the both of us, which was great. I really appreciate that it left us with that.
And how do you feel, Veera? How about that process?
Yeah, exactly the same. But I must say, because we never used to chat over whatever video we had available. We never did that before because we met kind of regularly all around the world. So we didn't feel that so necessary. But these past 2 years, we've really been more together than ever before. And it's not only the book or the projects or the work, it's also we've been training together. We've been doing all the things distantly, but still more together probably than ever.
And training, that's not in the sense of like speed knitting, that's like physical workouts, right?
I wish, but more running.
Yeah. That's interesting, because that leads me to my next question, because you have this great working partnership. What is your process for keeping each other motivated and inspired throughout, a long project that's over long distance, and so many different like elements that you're working together with? Veera, maybe you'd like to start with this.
Yes, lovely. Good question. I think the motivation is always kind of something that ebbs and flows. And I think typically one of us is like highly motivated and picks up the other if the other one is not so into things. But I have to say that I feel like he always suggests new things, brings these new ideas or challenges, and I'm the one who's always, yeah, Mimi, let's do that, yeah, let's go. So I think that really works for us.
I have a huge tendency to drag people to do things. I am very hyper. At times I can be truly annoying. And I have found the most patient and supportive friend. Like, I had to go find her in Finland, but she's there. And so I can say she has said yes to the most incredible challenges ever. So she would say yes to, let's work on a book and the publishing date is in 4 months. Do you think we can do it? And she'll go, okay, let me think about it. I think we can do it. Let's go for it. Or I've been thinking of this crazy trip and I don't even know where we would be staying. Do you think you want to come? And the answer is always yes, always, always. So Vera is very supportive and open-minded that way. And as going back to your initial question, how do you keep your partner, your friend, or other people motivated? Sometimes you just know when your friend needs pickup, when when someone is maybe someone's texting back, yeah, I'm fine, I'm doing fine, but you just know that there's something going on. We've known each other for so many years that she knows when I need a word or I need her besides me, and I know the same about her. You just know when you have such a friend, and sometimes you just need to fade away for a couple of weeks and maybe be quiet or give the other person some time to work on other things. And sometimes that you have to step back in and pick someone up. So I think that when you know someone that much, you know when those things are needed, and it's good.
Sounds like you've got a really good balance together to, I guess, here we are with volume 8, which we're really proud to be on the cusp of releasing so soon. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and I think it's so lovely to hear you talk about your friendship and working relationship, and I think it really comes through in the books that you publish together, the kind of like joy that you have working together and the shared love of making at the same time. And that's kind of something that runs through all of the volumes, and something that they all have in common. But of course, they are also all different, being different volumes. And I wondered if you could talk a bit, or we wondered if you could talk a bit about what makes volume 8 of Interpretations different from the previous volumes.
For this volume, I would have to say that we both, I think that pretty early in the planning stages, we both decided that we would showcase our capital cities for the photography. So I think that we were both thinking of them as in our cities, for the aesthetics of some of the designs. So you will find that some of my designs are romantic, bohemian, and I think that some of Veera's design are graphic as and minimal as in her city or capital city. So I think that's really influenced the way we both designed. And the other different, although it's not the first time we did it, different thing is that we used a lot of color for this volume. So sometimes it's not the first very colorful volume that we've published, but we are both very drawn to a grayscale. So we have even published a purely gray, black and white volume like volume 6. This one, as opposed to that, is very colorful, and we wanted it to be very bright. So also we did that with the photography. We wanted to be very luminous. And I think that's what I would say. It's different.
Yes, I would also add that we kind of moved from the volume 7 that was done purely during the first stages of pandemic. So the 8 kind of followed that, but I feel like there is a bit more hopefulness, like something to look forward to, something like the bright colors instantly make you happy. That's the tone that I hope that shows in that volume.
Yeah, lovely. So when we think about interpretations, we obviously think of the words that you choose, and that's how you develop each of your patterns. I wanted to ask, where does the process of choosing these words start?
I can start this one, if you don't mind, Hohi. So the words, I think it's the two things that we always start with. It's the colors, the palette, and then the words. And the words are something that we find interesting, or something that have the kind of like the atmosphere that we are looking for, but it's not it's never like we have this and this and this and we have to keep it in those, rather than we go back and forth, do a list of different words that speak to us at the moment, and then choose from all of those words. And I do think that now that we have reached the 8th volume, I keep thinking, maybe did we use this word already? And sometimes I even have to look back and see, oh, it was already there.
Well, you know it's a favorite if you've already
Exactly.
It's very possible that we reuse some words sometimes with a different interpretation of it.
Exactly.
The words we pick have also the property of not being very concrete most of the times. So they allow for different interpretations. And I think that because of that, every time that I look back to one of our previous volumes, I could find the reason why one of us chose some of those words, depending on what we were going through as women or as professionals, or growing up. So perhaps it's more the way you want to interpret those words in order for them to represent you. But it's very interesting. When we go back to volume 6, that was a very deep volume for both of us. We were, kind of melancholic for that volume. And then volume 7, we were during the pandemic, and the words hadn't been picked, had been picked before the pandemic started, but those words later in the pandemic context and the texts we wrote for them were really relevant. And I kept thinking, why did we choose words like these, like beyond, and what we wrote for that? And I really like the whole process of not just choosing the words, but then giving them the entire meaning as we make the book. And so I like the concept for the books.
I guess it's almost they are timeless in their, like you say, this like the open, I keep saying interpretation, it's such a great word of it, but you also, it sounds like you have this like an abstract diary, like little diary entries to match with the words from those periods, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just one of the things that makes them so special, these volumes. And I'm always interested every time to see which words you're going to choose and you know, specifically what you have, you know, to say about those words. And that's part of the joy of, you know, kind of seeing the next volumes. And obviously another thing that we like is seeing the knits and the pieces that you've made for each volume and the beautiful photography. And it always looks like you have so much fun on your photo shoots. And we wondered if you could tell us a bit more about capturing the patterns for this collection.
So the photographs for this one, it was, of course, a different experience because the previous ones until the 6th volume, we've always been together somewhere. So it has meant we will travel, we will meet each other. We always have such a good time on those photo shoots. But I have to say that staying connected, even over the internet with the photo shoots, even if they are happening separately, even on separate days, as we did for this 8th volume, I still felt super connected to Hohi's photo shoot day, and I hope Hohi also had a glimpse to my photo shoot day. This year, so we wanted to show you all the knitters, the beautiful capitals of our countries. So Hohi's photos were done in Buenos Aires, and Hohi worked with a new photographer. And I think the photos are amazing, and somehow the knits and the light and the aesthetic, it works so well into Buenos Aires. I'm amazed. And Hohi looks so beautiful in each and every one of those. For mine, I worked with Jonna Jolkin again. She has been doing photos for us since the 2nd volume, and it's so easy and comfortable for me to work with her because we are also good friends. I think Jonna knows what kind of photos we need and what we want and what is the aesthetic that we are going for. And for me as well, this volume was very special because I don't think I've ever done a photo shoot in Helsinki, like trying to show some of the like more well-known touristic attractions or things that really make Helsinki. So it was lovely to go to those places and show it through my eyes, Jonna's eyes, and through the knits.
I love that for all the volumes you've always modelled your own knitwear. Is that a important decision for you?
It is the most important decision that we make every year. And I think that every year we decide to model. It's not, it's not something that I think that we always think, okay, perhaps someday we can have someone else model them. But then we always decide to do them ourselves, the modeling. We have talked about that part among, between each other, between the two of us, and in front of other people too. And interpretations for us, as you guys said, is like a journal, and it's like a recording of us growing as women, as knitters, as friends, we're definitely not the same young girls that we were modeling volume 1. Sometimes we look at them, we long for those fresh faces. But I mean, I always say that we do get ready for a photo shoot. As Vera said, Vera was very generous with her compliments on my looks. So I do get makeup and hair done. So it's not that what you see in the book is the Joji that you will see every day or even recording the podcast. So I try to look my best, but it's me after all. So, it's this woman who has been having these photos taken for 10 years now, and hopefully many years more. And I think that the same as the words will have different meaning the more we read them or the more we write them. We will look different, and it will be fun to see those years and volumes go by in the photos. Every year it gets harder. Every year, both Vera and I feel less confident to be on that side of the camera. I have the hopes that one day it will not matter anymore, that I'll be beyond the fear of what I look like in a photograph. I'm hopeful. But yeah, I think that we both really, really like to be ourselves, to be representing what we felt. What, when I design something, I see myself wearing that garment or that piece for interpretations, especially. Sometimes I design for pom-pom, and I can visualize a pom-pom model, wearing that piece. But for interpretations, it's so honest, it's so from us, that I really can't see anyone else modeling that knitwear other than, Veera and I. I don't think I could even model Veera's projects. It has to be her, and for mine, it has to be me. So I hope we can still do that.
Yes, and I have to add that I do love to look back and see the transformations, because we are not the same girls anymore, but see also the growth. I feel even if we are not always confident, and especially on the photo shoot day, it might feel a bit intimidating. But after seeing the photos, I typically always take a deep breath and see, like, it's fine. The photos show exactly what I thought they would. I don't know what I was afraid of. This is me. Nobody's perfect, but it's me out here. So I love that aspect of the photos so much, even if we have to make the decision every year again.
Being together helped us so much. The first 6 years we were able to shoot together. We would encourage each other. We would, do each other's hair, makeup, and plan the wardrobe together. And so you go out there to do your pose so much calmer than being on your own, being alone. But I think that we might get together for next one. I have good hopes.
I hope so too.
Fingers crossed here, yeah. Well, you say it's hard, but you do make it look easy with all the beautiful pictures we see in the book.
Yeah, and as you say, it's a kind of a wonderful record of your lives in knitting, in a way. I know that interpretations is just one aspect of all the work you do, but like you say, you've got these kind of snapshots in time to look back over that are of yourselves and of the work that you've done together, and you've got all these memories of the, encouraging each other. And yeah, I think it sounds like a really wonderful thing.
For me personally, interpretations is definitely the most important project I work on every year. I personally give, and I think Vera too, we give interpretations the number one place in our calendars, in our planning, in our, I give interpretations, my best ideas, my best designs, my best effort always goes to that every year. So it's a pretty accurate recording of what went through that year.
Yes, I have to say, and I think also the amount of ripping and re-knitting things that I've done for interpretations tells a story that I really want to get the designs right for these series.
I guess it's almost that thing as well when you're working. You say it's important to yourselves. It's also important you've got that teammate, that each other, to say like, okay, and now I've done this, and the other person's like, oh, it's amazing. That must be so wonderful.
Totally. Yeah, we do have that.
I wonder if we started with introducing each other, how to end with favorite patterns?
Can I start with my favorite of Hohi's designs for volume 8?
Oh, okay.
Can we go that way?
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay.
I have to say that my absolute favorite, even though they are all gorgeous and I so want to knit all of them, it must be the ladybird shawl or wrap. It is gorgeous. And I remember you knitting it and feeling like, is this gonna be okay? Is it good? And I was like, it's gorgeous. It's so good. All the colors look so great. I just love that pattern and the pictures as well.
I frogged big time for that pattern. Things changed, colors changed, but it worked out. There's a lot of frogging going on behind the scenes, for both of us.
Sometimes too much.
Yeah, and a lot of uncertainty. Like, we never show our submissions to each other. So we do have an initial plan of what the collection will look like, but it does not look at all like that initial proposal when we're done. Many things change over the course of the year. I mean, things like, not for this volume, but we could be working with a company of yarn that is no longer in business, or I personally, Hohi ran out of yarn and I can't get anymore because of my customs restrictions. So instead of a long cardigan, we get a cropped one and things like that. My favorite design from Veera is the Baroque shawl. And I love it because it has everything. There's stripes, there's brioche, there's lace, and she puts these things, these elements together in a way that it's almost compelling. Like, you see her shawl and you have to work on it. You instantly go to your stash and see what you could put together, because it has a bit of everything. It's like having your favorite cake with all your favorite toppings and frostings, and and she somehow she makes that in a shawl. She makes you want to try the cake immediately. Let's knit this shawl. And it's a half pie, so speaking of cake.
Yes.
I love it. That's brilliant.
Thanks, Sophie.
All right, well, just for fun to end, we like to hear what people are excited about. So this can be anything. It doesn't have to be craft or knitting related. But what's getting you going? What's getting you excited? Obviously, the release of Volume 8, all on our lists. But Veera, what are you excited about at the moment?
I have to say, all the sports. It's been happening for a while. And I think this year it's happening together with Hohi. So we've been training, we've been running, doing some bike rides, some strength training as well together. And then on my end, of course, I love tennis, football, you name it.
So the designers who train together stay together.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah.
We're doing a HIIT program, which is very intense. And so we share the workouts and the workouts we complete. And it's another way to, stay in touch with your friends, share the training. And, we work as accountability partners. And so we keep each other motivated and chatting and happy. So
Are you on direct calls as you're running along, how you doing, or is it just you check in at the beginning and the end?
I can't speak while I'm running. I can't do anything other than just running and trying to breathe while I do that. But once we complete the workouts, we take a screenshot of whatever app we use for that. And then so we send each other the screenshots, and then it's the other person's turn to cheer you on and you're a rock star and stuff like that.
Lydia, this is what we're missing out on. This is what we've got to do.
I was gonna say we're missing the hit component.
Even if it's a walk around the block, we go you are fierce, you are on fire.
Yes, it doesn't matter even if the run is 5 minutes long. You did it, and we will cheer.
Yeah, if you're excited about it and you send us a screenshot, we'll cheer you on.
Oh,
so nice.
I kind of feel like you both are excited about that. Hoki, was there anything you wanted to add?
I am really excited to travel a little bit again. That's keeping me very, very motivated. I've been doing a little bit of traveling already this year with my family. I don't know if people know, but traveling is my other big, huge passion together with knitting. I feel like I live for traveling. And so now that we've been all vaccinated and the borders are opening up a little bit, we have traveled to the States during this year. And next year, I'm planning to go to Europe for the first time. I'm hoping that things will continue to improve everywhere so that we can still feel safe to come. But that's keeping me really, really excited and motivated. And, a lot of the things I do, ultimately, I do them so that I can travel. Everyone knows that Veera and I teach so that we can travel. And so, being able to, there are obviously things that we cannot even think about yet, but there are things that we can do, and that's keeping me very, very happy and excited. So, yeah.
I think it's a big, I'm sure for many people listening, it's a big hope for us all to be able to travel a little bit more, see everyone around the world. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So hopefully next year we can cross the ocean.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, in the meantime, we will have these podcasts to keep in touch, which is lovely. So I was going to say thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you both so much. It's been such a pleasure, and I feel very invigorated and more hopeful having spoken to you both. I feel like the kind of hopefulness that you're talking about in the colors and the volume kind of coming through from both of you as well.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thanks again so much to Joji and Veera for taking the time out of their busy knitting schedules to talk to us. We hope that you enjoyed that conversation as much as we so clearly did.
Yeah, it was truly lovely to chat to them. A real energy from the magic that is their collaboration really came across, and long may it continue. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us. We hope you are keeping well. All those projects are doing well. And if you're frogging it, hey, Joji and Veera seem to frog all the time as well. So it happens to the best, most professional knitters.
Certainly does.
And don't forget that this episode was thanks to our lovely sponsors, Yak. You can get 10% off their website Their website is yarnandknitting.com by entering the code YAKPOMCAST at checkout. Ooh, go check it out.
Thanks so
At the
much.
checkout.
Nice. Thanks so much, Yak. And I just wanted to note that Yak has a special place in my heart because I remember meeting the owner at a knitting festival before she opened the shop, and she was talking about this new plan to open a knitting shop in Brighton, and then she did, and it's just as wonderful as we all thought it would be. And the times I have been to the shop, I have very much enjoyed it.
It is a special place, and if you can't visit, find it online.
Yes, great reminder, Soph. Thanks again, of course, to Yak, as Sophie said, and goodbye, Pomcats. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Pomcast is produced by Lydia Gluck and Sophie Heathscott, along with the team at Pom Pom Quarterly magazine. You can buy your copy of the magazine and subscribe too at our online shop, pompommag.com/shop. And there you'll find all the festive gifts we mentioned. Ooh la la.
Big thanks, as always, to Eli Block for creating the original music for this show and for being an essential part in creating this podcast. And thanks to Portmanteau Music for the tracks used in this episode.
Thanks as always to Megan Fernandez, co-creator and editor of Pom Pom Quarterly. And a huge thanks to the whole Pom Pom team who help us behind the scenes with lots of little different digital and admin-based things to make sure this podcast gets out in time. Thank you!
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and why not leave a review? 5 stars only, as I always say. Those are the reviews we want. So you can send any feedback or ideas to podcast@pompommag.com. And don't forget to keep in touch with us via the podcast group on the Pom Pom Ravelry forum. I remember meeting, is it Kate, the name of the woman who runs Yak?
Yeah.
And before she started the shop.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm going to open a knitting shop. And we were like, yeah, do it. Woo!
I remember Megan saying, like, what, there isn't a knitting shop in Brighton already? Like,
yeah. So there's clearly a gap in the market.
a Yak in the market.
Hey.
Hey-o. Okay.